Thank you. Okay, do we all see the PowerPoint? Yes, good. Thumbs up. Yay, good. Okay, here's our grant training. Once again, I'm Don Norton and I'm the chair. This is our district. I think you're all familiar with this, a little bit of Minnesota, a little bit of Iowa, a little bit, I guess that's all, a little bit of Nebraska, I think it is. And there we are. Three things. I'm going to teach you about district grants, and this presentation, the fact that you are here qualifies you to apply for a grant. We're going to talk a little bit about the Rotary Foundation, grant information in general, and then the process that we go through. First, the Rotary Foundation. Very quickly, I would recommend you have Tracy Dahl-Webb come to your club and talk about the Rotary Foundation. The Rotary Foundation, TRF, is the charitable arm of Rotary. $3 billion so far has gone to charitable projects. It's just an amazing story, and it's a highly rated foundation. The funds that we get to spend by these grants came from our clubs 3 years ago. And so it's important that we give to Rotary Foundation in order to keep this cycle going of having grant money. So several clubs have every Rotarian every year, where they suggest a $100 minimum contribution. You can give to the raffle, you can go online and give. I know in the Brookings Club, we have a part of our dues that goes directly to the Rotary Foundation. And then you can have above and beyond that. So there are many different ways to give. There are individual recognitions. The most common is the Paul Harris Fellow, if you've given $1,000 in your lifetime, or Paul Harris Fellow +1, +2, +3. I think we did a +8 the other day in Brookings, which is cool. And then there are other membership levels of recognition and giving to the Rotary Foundation. This, once again, is why it's important, this chart right here. So if you give $100 to Rotary 3 years ago, it was invested, and now $47.50 goes in the World Fund. $5 goes to administer the foundation, and this money comes back to our district, 47.5%. Half of that is used for these district grants and CAP grants, and the other is for global grants in which our district and clubs participate. So this is really important that people give to the Rotary Foundation because the money's going to come back. These are the areas of focus. You will need to put on your grant form which area of focus your grant will fall under. And it's pretty straightforward. We had some projects recently that they wanted to run water and sewer lines to an outdoor park. And that was obviously water and sanitation, even though it was kind of an economic development benefit to the community. It really was water and sanitation. So just make sure your grant fits into one of those areas. Okay, a little bit about grants in general. Global grants, big projects, sponsored by a club in the recipient country and a Rotary club in a different country. Has to be in the 7 areas of focus. We're talking pretty big money here, $30,000 to $400,000 from the Rotary Foundation. Now, district grants and CAP grants, as you saw earlier, are those what they call DDF, designated district funds. That's the 47% that comes back to our district 3 years after we give it. These grants, much like what you're going to apply for, are sponsored by your club, and your club has to match what the district would give. We did last year some pop-up grants. I don't see them scheduled for this year. They came about in different ways. One, actually, the first one I think that Ina kind of started us with was actually TRF money. It was Rotary Foundation money for COVID relief. The other ones actually were district money. So there was not a match required, and a little different type of application process. It went real fast. We were able to get out, do some great things in the community. I don't see those happening this year, since we're now kind of past COVID. So we're going to concentrate on the district grants and the CAP grants. So global grants, very quickly, once again, very big, at least one of the areas of the focus. The application is submitted. after a proposal is accepted by the Rotary Foundation, you really have to work with the district to get these grants going. And then once it's posted, you'll see sometimes clubs will around the world will join in on your global grant. District grants are managed by your club. This is the pretty common type of grant. You might have another club in the district that does it, that goes in with you, partners with you on the grant. It must address a local need, but may also address one outside of the community. So you could actually help, as looks like the Lamar's picture here is helping people in a foreign country with a district grant matched by the club. These grants have to be completed in 2 years, but they're frequently completed a lot faster than that. And the clubs and partner organizations have to contribute half of the grant. So let's say you have a $10,000 grant, $5,000 is coming from the club, and part of that $5,000 might come from another organization in your community. Okay. So we have these traditional district grants, and then we have CAP grants. Traditional grants, max award is $15,000. The CAP grants, the max award is $1,000. So if you've got a kind of a small project, you might want to work toward a CAP grant. You don't have to talk about the particular area need. CAP means Community Assistance Program. Once again, very small. The max award from the district is $1,000. The typical budget for the whole project is $5,000. You will notice on the form that you need to fill out. I'm going to shift real quickly to that form. This is the paper grant application form. You will notice it says up the top, I'm applying for a CAP grant, maximum amount of 1,000, or this is a regular old 5610 grant. Okay, back to our PowerPoint. Tim, I love your picture. It's got you smiling. It looks great. Okay. I'm not yet sharing. Hang on here. Share. Okay, can you see this? Good. So here is these are the eligibility guidelines. There are a bunch of them. They're available online, but these are the key ones. Has to relate to the mission of the Rotary Foundation. This is important. This is important. Rotarians have to actively participate in the grant. It isn't just a check passing. I think the district has gotten real fussy about that. How are the Rotarians going to actually hands-on work on this project? Of course, it has to, you have to obey the law. You have to wait until you're funded before you can start the project. I know this causes some consternation because you want to get things done right away, but you'll have your check by the end of August if you have a successful grant. Has to comply with the rules, including conflict of interest. We'll touch briefly on some of those. Great if you can include signage in your project up to $500. It's always great if you've got a project going on, even if it's a one-day project and you've got a nice Rotary banner. You can't use it for fundraising, so you couldn't go out and buy a pickup truck with a grant fund and then raffle off the pickup truck, those kinds of things. Can't purchase land. All of this is spelled out in the guidelines on the Memorandum of Understanding. This has to be a new project for your club. So it can't be something that you've funded for the last couple of years and now we're going to try to get a district grant to fund it. Shouldn't be. It should be a new project. If there are travel costs, it has to be for the vocational travel system, and there's a way to work that through. But most grants do not have a travel component because it's usually in our local community. Cannot just be a cash donation. You can't start until you receive your check. Every year, one club member has to attend this training. Pretty much just so we're all on the same page on how this happens. You have to have a signed memorandum of understanding, and the one you had last year is not going to work because your current president has to be a signator on it. We'll talk about where you upload that and how you get that to work. You should file a IRS 990 form. and you should have that current. This is kind of important. When you go on the Rotary website, you will indicate your goals for this coming year for your club. Very important. In fact, that's a requirement for getting a grant. Some clubs have not done that, but once again, I think the granting committee is going to be kind of particular. This is how much our club is giving to the Rotary Foundation. The past grants are all up to date in their reporting, and it's all on myrotary.org. So that's very important. Now, the MOU. If you go to our website page, which I will do right now, this is how I found out I was not sharing earlier. Okay. Here we go. So this is our Rotary District 5610, which is rotary5610.org under Rotary Foundation and Grants. Here's the MOU form. This is going to be the slides that I'm presenting right now. And this might be, I think, the training of the video that we're making of this presentation. But if you look at the MOU form, this is the memorandum of understanding, and it says you are going to do these things. You have to have one officer appointed, or at least one club member to manage the grant. You have to have a budget, a financial management. You have to have a separate bank account for grant funds. You have to report on how you use those funds, and you have to retain some documents. I won't go into details on this now, but let me scroll down. You will have to sign it. The club president and the president-elect will have to sign that form and submit it. That makes you eligible for a grant. Questions on that? I know this kind of comes up and people go, oh, what's this MOU thing? And yes, you do need a new one every year. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to, after tonight, we're going to start accepting applications. I think we're accepting them starting on the 21st of July, which is the next training. So you've got 3 weeks, maybe even 4 weeks, almost 4 weeks to apply before the deadline. And global grants, by the way, are on a continuous rollout. So you can apply for a global grant anytime. We want to, as a committee, review these, and then we'll get them over to the Rotary Foundation by August 25th. And then after they say, okay, this all looks good, we'll mail the checks by the end of August. Again, you have to complete the project in 2 years. And after that 2 years, or whenever you complete the project, let's say it takes a week, you complete the project, 60 days later, you have to do your final report, and all of that's done online. Are there any questions? Wow.
I do, Don, sorry. And this is all new information to me. Where it says project completed within 24 months. If the club project is a piece of a larger community project, does the whole thing have to be done in 24 months, or just the Rotary piece that our club specifically is responsible for?
I'm going to say just the Rotary piece. That sound okay? We did something like that with a local community garden here, and we had a Rotary garden as part of the garden. And the real ticket was, you know, did you finish the Rotary part of it? Yeah, okay, your project is done. It's a great question, Dave. Thank you. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit now about your grant in particular.
Don, can I mention something first?
Absolutely.
This is Steve Sikorsky, District Treasurer. Last year, we did not get our funds until October the 14th. That might have been as a result of COVID, but to make the statement that the funds will be mailed out by the end of August, it's kind of dependent upon the Rotary Foundation on when we get our allocation of of DDF.
Steve, you are absolutely right. Thank you so much. And that's coming from the guy who writes the checks, right? And it was really interesting because when we did our pop-up grants with district funds, man, once those projects were approved, Steve got those checks out really fast. Yeah, and that may have been COVID. You're absolutely right. But the folks at the Rotary Foundation have been very cooperative and sensitive to the fact that they want, they want these projects to move along. But if you do have a project that's like, we're going to give backpacks to kids going back to school, you may not hit that milestone. Just a thought. Thank you, Steve, for bringing that up. Couple things about your grant. Really, there's two principles here. One is stewardship and one is sustainability. Stewardship, because Rotary Foundation has such an impeccable record of giving to meaningful causes and really has tight accountability and transparency, we also want to be good stewards of that. So stewardship, you're going to see some processes we go through here. We do that because we want to be good stewards of the funds. There is actually a potential audit component of this, which I'll talk about in a second. But Rotary Foundation come in and say, let me see your last 5 years of grants and see all the receipts for it. And so we have to have that done. And then the other thing is sustainability. So they like to look for projects that have lasting impact after the funding is spent. So just be a little sensitive to those concepts as you're writing your grant. We are using the Matching Grants website. Now, I have to tell you that when I said I would agree to be the grants subcommittee chair for the district, the last thing I wanted to do was use this website. And because it sends out emails to you that are kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Pesky, how's that? It reminds you that you have to give us a report on your project. And your report might be, we just got the funds, we haven't started yet. And then 3 months later, you get to give another report until it's done. Then when it's done, you have to do a final report. And the key here is to have a complete final report. I'll talk about that in a second. But I did decide to use this one more time. And I'll tell you why, to be honest with you. Because this website keeps all of the receipts and all of the documentation for all of the projects. And remember, we have projects from a year ago that are still going on. So it becomes this really difficult tracking mechanism. Which grants are still open? Which grants need to be closed out? This system keeps track of it. So we'll see how it goes this year. The first thing you need to do is upload your memorandum of understanding to this site. These are the instructions on how to do it. You can either upload the PDF document of this document that I showed you earlier, sign it, make a PDF out of it and just put it on there, or you can provide an electronic signature. All of that is on this website. Once you set up any action in the Matching Grants website, you have set up an account and it will send you that information, what your login is that you told them, and make it easy for you to return to the website to log in, matchinggrants.org. Once again, you have to, in this vein of being a good steward, you have to set up a separate bank account from your regular club account. It really makes it easier, trust me, to do it this way, even though you have to set up another account. So where does your funds come from? Where do your matching funds come from? Well, you could have club dues. That's, I think, how we do it in the Brookings Club, donations from members. You could have fundraisers. I don't think we do many fundraisers in Brookings. You can't get funds from one of the beneficiaries of the activity. So let's say it can come from partners, but not beneficiaries. A little different there. So you can work with your United Way, but you can't get money from the people who are going to benefit from the grant. You follow me on that? The United Way is the organization. They can contribute, but the individuals cannot. They're all pretty straightforward. The conflict of interest comes when, our grant is to buy 4 dozen books and give them to the local library. By the way, the bookseller in town is a Rotarian. little conflict of interest there. An indirect conflict of interest could be, we're going to do this grant with a church, and the spouse of one of our members is the head of the finance committee at that church. You're going to have to figure out a way to make that indirect link not happen. So just again, all of this is under the spirit of good stewardship. Track all income and expenditures. If you have to keep a ledger, that's fine. If you have to keep a file folder with a bunch of receipts in them, you will have to upload those receipts at the end of the grant. And I can tell you, this is kind of the bane of Bruce's existence the last couple of years as our grants chair, because a project is done and all of the reports have been uploaded and there are no receipts. And so he says to people, your grant's not done. I mean, we need these receipts. What if Rotary comes back and says, Rotary International, where are the receipts? So you need to really keep track of that. And I suppose we could come up with a trail of emails that says, we had these receipts and we lost them or whatever, but pretty much we want to keep it above board. So keep the inventory. We have to retain the records for 5 years. Another reason that we use this grants website. So the grant website will send you an email and say, you've had your grant now funded for 3 months. You need to tell us how you're doing on it. At the end, it'll ask you to close out, upload pictures, just really tell us how successful it was. When the committee looks at these grants, they look for things that are real community needs. I think it really helps to have a partner in the community that's going to work with you in the successful completion of something. I think Rotary kind of thrives on its ability to work with other organizations. Have an implementation plan. On this date, this is going to happen. And sometimes it doesn't happen on that date because that part of the railroad might be out of our control. But the plan is to work it this way. Okay, we have come to the nuts and bolts here. Plenty of time, right? There are 12 steps in the grant process. I'm going to go real quickly through this because I've got a chart on each one of these, identifying the need, planning, creating a project, and moving all of this forward. Identify the need. What in the community needs to be done? What are the resources of our club and potential partners? In Brookings, we have a park project, and the city is one of the partners. And our Rotarians are funding part of this stuff they're putting in the park, but we're also digging the holes. And who else could we partner with to do that? Well, maybe it's the Arts Council. Maybe the things we're putting in the park might also be funded by the Arts Council. So there are a lot of different partners who can help you out. Talk to the community, talk to your club, get the club to support it. And this, of course, is essential for global grants where you're dealing with different clubs in different parts of the world, but primarily also for district grants. Planning and budget. We actually did have 3 people, the president, the vice president, and sometimes it was our public image person. Sometimes it was somebody who had a little bit of expertise. If the project was the city, we have a retired city engineer in our club. So he was pretty influential in helping us get the city to get things done on this part of the project. Form a committee, figure out how to get it done, create a budget, and how are we as a club going to raise our part of the money. Okay, then you log in to the grants website and you click on submit a project. And you spell out what your project is going to be. You will notice that this project page looks a lot like, stop the share, going to share again, looks a lot like the hard paper copy of the application form. My advice is to work on this form first. Type in what you're going to need, do your budget on this form. And then when it comes time to enter the project in the website, you can copy and paste. But the idea is initially, you're going to kind of, you're going to work the project on paper. Then you're going to go to the Matching Grants website and enter it there. After you enter your information, where the money is going to come from, the club's contribution. So here's a $1,220 project. The club's going to contribute $610. They're asking for $610 in district money, and then you save it. And then it goes into proposed status. I'll take a look at it. And if it looks like it's a great project, I'll send you an email, and it'll actually, the machine sends you the email. It says your project has been approved, move it forward. And so then you go in and you log back into the website, you click on the project that you've already entered, and then you fill out the project planning, the rest of the application. Okay. Budgeting is extremely important. How much is it going to cost? What are the funding sources? And at the end, if you didn't spend the money, you have to return a portion of it back to the district. Talk about that. All of this financing is also on the website. But again, if you look at this tab on the website, financing, the second. So here's the description. Then there's the financing. If you look back at this form, you can see that the page on the form also has where this money is coming from. So it's almost like a direct transfer from the paper copy onto the website. Funding from other sources needs to be listed, where that is going to come from. On your district grant application, there is a checklist. You need to go through the checklist, and as Bruce said on here, don't mindlessly check each box, because the checklist kind of helps you to make sure you've got everything done. I'm going to go back now to this paper document and show you this form. And here's your checklist. The first contact on this grant is the grant writer. Yep, so that's in the system now. The club has submitted the memorandum of understanding. That should be uploaded into the system. The club's in good standing with the IRS. You've done your 990 form. You're going to certify, essentially, that all of these things are true. This is a new effort for our club. If you do a CAP grant, the club is matching 50% up to $1,000. Project is totally, or at least primarily, sponsored by the Rotary Club. We're not just handing over a check to someone else. No funds will be utilized to support salaries or administrative expenses. We're not going to start the project until we get the grant. We're going to certify all of these things. Very, very important. Back to the PowerPoint. Now, I suppose you're wondering why I'm doing the paper form as well, because you have to upload this paper copy of the grant application. I know. I emailed Bruce again today and I said, are we really asking the clubs to do the paper form and the electronic form? And he said yes, because strangely enough, the paper form asks a couple of extra questions that are kind of important. And one of those is, this is the amount that we've requested, but this is the minimum acceptable amount. That's not asked on the computer program. So we need to make sure we get the paper form in a PDF format, and it goes into the documents section right here. So you've got your website program, you click on the tab, and then you can click up here, browse, upload a document like your your paper grant application. Then this is the fun part. You can, when you're ready to submit the grant, it will send automatically to your president an email asking the president to sign off on the grant. And it's done with numbers. They send the president a series of numbers that the president has to sign in. And then there's your name, and you put the numbers in, and that's an electronic signature on the process. This is, you can add the names later, but usually the names are added when you set up the website. So you have your grant chair and your president involved. So here's the grant that we're going to do, and here are the people who are going to sign. Send application for signatures. So that's going to go to your club president. They're going to look that over, and they're going to sign it. And here's the sign. This project was sent to you for review and digital signature. You have to sign on here. So that's kind of how that goes. Boom, sign. Oh, there's the 4-digit thing. Type that in, signature key. Then it comes to the 3-person grant committee, and we look at all of these different ones and see how much money we have and see what we can fund. And then we will change the status of the project from pending to approved. And then Steve Sikorsky starts sending out checks, and then it goes from approved to paid, because now you've received your money. Go, go and do good. Don't start until you get the funds, but after you do, follow your implementation plan. Don't forget to publicize what you're doing and document and retain all of your records. During the process of the grant, the system will bug you affectionately and remind you that you have to give us an update. So here's one on this bike project that the report is preliminary report. We received the bicycle. Click, and then you won't get the email again for another 3 months. That's kind of cool. And then the next time it might say, 3 other bicycles were received and we're nearing completion of the grant, or however that works. And then you finish the project and you publicize it and you celebrate. If your actual expenses were less than the initial request, you may need to return funds. Remember that the used grant funds may not exceed 50% of the total expenses. So if you have a $10,000 grant and you actually spent $9,000, that $1,000 gets split. Half of it comes back to the district and half of the savings stays with the club. Steve, does that sound right?
Yes, it does.
Final report, 60 days after you finish, you've uploaded all of your receipts, your bank statements. I get an email that says, Don, the Lamar's Club has done a great job. The Rushmore Club has done this great job. All of their stuff is here, and I'll go through there and look, and then I will mark it complete. Boom. But you have to first submit that final report and click that button. And it has to be done by the Rotarian who's in charge of the grant. This is what the final report looks like. There are several pages of this. I'll go through them kind of quickly. What kind of grant was it? What was done? What area of focus? How many Rotarians participated in the project? This is really cool. In your goals on your My Rotary page for your club, you have to indicate how many projects you're going to do and how many Rotarians you expect to participate. I think last year the Brookings Club had as a goal to do 12 projects. We actually did 19. I don't know how the club did 19 during COVID, but everything from coat drives to whatever. Now, we didn't get funded for that, so we didn't have to put that in this grant thing, but that is on our website page. That's on our log of how many projects we did, because next year we'll go in and say, wow, we did 19 projects last year. We could do 20 this year. And so it builds for your club and how many people participated. How many person hours? This is stuff for the Rotary Foundation so that they can go back and say, last year Rotarians spent, 20 million hours helping their communities. What did the people do on the project? How many non-Rotarians participated? What are the expected long-term community impacts of the project? Remember, we talked about this whole concept of sustainability. We want to do projects that are going to have lasting value to the community. I wish I knew which club, if it was your club, just chime in, did that extending water and sewer lines to a park. Boy, what a terrific project with long-term community benefits. That's a real win-win. And then you say how much you spent and how much what it was for, and then you save it and send it for signatures, and then the people sign off. It's really cool because you can upload. Here are some of the documents. There's the grant request. Here's the memorandum of understanding. Remember, that has to be there. And here are pictures of the finished thing. That is just so cool. And it's all in this website so that years from now we can go back and say, wow, that was a really great project. After you're done, follow up with your project, make sure it has lasting value. If you want to go back into the site and give a little history, maybe another club is going to sponsor some things, or the school district is going to do it next year or something like that. Anyway, pretty good. A couple of resources that are included in here, my name and phone number. Please feel free to call me. There is a help part of the Matching Grants website. Thanks for attending. Questions, and I think I see one maybe in the chat area. No. Oh yeah, the data are also helpful for district-wide reports. Those club goals are really helpful so that when district governor stands up and says, last year our clubs did, it's all in there. That's kind of cool. Questions? Yes, Day, are you okay?
Yes, thank you.
A lot of stuff, isn't it?
No, it's great. I wish I've had this information for 5 years. The CAP grants, the smaller grants, are those also on a once a year apply cycle? In other words, the August whatever deadline also applies to the CAP grants. Okay.
Correct.
Thank you.
Correct. I've never actually done a CAP grant myself, but boy, I feel like that's kind of a quick hit. Hey, you know what? We need like $1,500 for this in our community. Wow, let's see if we can do this quickly.
Don,
Yes.
do you know if the Matching Grants website has added the 7th area of focus yet on the environment?
Matching grants.
For like the checkoff list where you have to check off which area of focus it is?
I
Do you know if
do-
they've added the 7th one yet?
I do not know that. And those, again, those 7 areas are, peace and conflict, disease prevention. Boy, disease prevention, so much of that COVID personal protection gear that was part of those pop-up grants this year were right in there. Water and sanitation, maternal and child health, basic education and literacy, if you're doing a program with your library, economic and community development, that seems to be a kind of a catch-all for some community projects. And then the new one is supporting the environment. I don't know. I'm going to imagine it is, Kay, but I will check on that. It's a good point. It is on this form, which is going to be uploaded. This is the paper grant application. Again, I completely advise you to do that application on paper first, and then just copy and paste it into the system, and it just goes so quickly. And we're going to have that new form for 21-22 that has that 7th area. Nicole's, I've already sent it to her to ask her to put it on our website, district website. Well, after being delayed at the beginning, I can't believe we have gotten through all of these charts, and you have been so patient. This is, maybe it's because of my age, but you get to a point where you realize that the only way you're going to fully understand or even appreciate a system like our matchinggrants.org is to go in and dig in, right? It's not torture. If you get lost, call me and I'll work with you on it. It's just great stuff. So good luck to all of you. I want to make sure, is Bob Benson here? Bob is the only one that did not make it, and I did get Emily on here. No, I didn't. Emily, are you here? I didn't see Emily from Laverne.
I think Emily's good.
Say that. Say that again, Tim. You're breaking up there a little bit. Anyway, Tim is on from Laverne. So Laverne has there you go, Tim.
Yep. Sorry, I froze up. So I'm here tonight. I thought Emily was going to be, but she's going to be in the next training session.
Oh, okay, great. Have her email me and I'll get her on the 21st.
Okay.
Good. So we have, and by the way, Rapid City Rushmore might win the prize for the number of people who've signed up to be part of the grant process, the grant training. I think you've got 5 people over the next couple trainings. So winner, Rushmore, Laverne, Mapleton, Sioux Falls South, Black Hills North, Marshall Noon, Custer, Brookings, Pierre, Fort Pierre, downtown Sioux Falls, again, another one from Marshall, and another one from downtown Sioux Falls. So we got some good representation of different clubs here tonight. Good luck to everyone. I'm new at this. I'm kind of excited about to see the projects. By the way, one of the other, and I'll only keep you one more minute. One of the other fun things about matchinggrants.org is when you log in there, you can see all of the grants. And so you can see what other clubs are doing. And some of them are pretty cool. Great ideas for how you can work with your community. You can also see the global grants. Some of those are absolutely astonishing. So good luck on that. Other questions? Anything else I can do for you? I sure appreciate your time and your patience at the beginning. Now that we've done the trial run, Kay, I think we'll be good on the 21st to make sure we're hosts and co-hosts at that time. Thanks, everybody. Blessings to you all.
Thanks, Don.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.